Yamcha's 5H has received several buffs. Let's take a look at how this move performed before. You had 4 frame startup for his full invincibility, and after he did the cartwheel and started to lunge forward, he would lose it. It reached pretty far, but would hit about frame 32 at point blank range. Additionally, this was its range at full screen. So, not quite reaching the opponent. Because you couldn't cancel out of this move, once you committed to this move, it was pretty easy for the opponent to anticipate the move and either get out of the way or perhaps intercept it with attacks. Say hello to the new 5H. It maintains its 4-frame startup invincibility, but now, with the increased duration, it goes full screen. It also moves faster, hitting at frame 31 at point blank range. However, the real knocker here is that you can now actually cancel out of this move. You can cancel into itself. Do note that between the 5Hs, his invincibility does reset. However, it's not the only option that you have. You can go ahead and cancel this into a 5S, meaning that Yamcha is able to completely disengage from situations where the opponent is threatening like a +2 situation in mid-screen. He can also go ahead and cancel this into Super Dash, as well as special moves. So there's tons of utility for Yamcha to use this, not only in terms of his combos, but also in his pressure and counter-pressure sequences. His crouching S also has a few buffs. Outside of the universal system mechanic changes where you can now cancel this move into jump heavies, it now has faster startup as well. By my estimation, it comes out at about frame 14 for the Ki Blast. Compare that to the old version where this would come out around frame 20. So this is a significant change. It improves his neutral while also giving him potential new links into this move, especially when you consider the 5H changes. The light and medium version of one of Yamcha's Wolfang Fist follow-ups, Pack Attack, now count as different moves for the Z combo limit. I think this is so that you can use both of these versions while Yamcha's in Spark and canceling his Wolfang Fist. It's the second flurry of attacks after the first one that we see, which is the move I'm talking about here. So I think it's just a quality of life change to make sure that Yamcha plays well with the new Spark changes. There is one change to Wolfang Fist's Tails follow-up that I'm not able to make sense of. It says now that you can input down and cancel the attack. However, I haven't been able to see any sort of difference when I press down between this version and the old version of the game. I really don't see any sort of canceling action happening here, so if any Yamcha player out there can help explain this one, I'll be sure to include it in a video I'll make after all the characters are done. The light version of Extended Claw's Maniac, Yamcha's quarter circle back special move sequences, have extended vulnerability against jumping attacks. This is what it used to look like before. As you can see, they expired around the time that Yamcha actually started to spin an attack. This is the new invincibility duration. As you can see, Yamcha gets partway into the spin's active frames before the I-frames wear out. I think this is to make it so that it's more consistent at beating air-to-airs, since sometimes you could probably snipe in a couple of frames between Yamcha's active frames being able to hit you and the I-frames wearing off from this move. Yamcha's level 1 Spirit Ball sees a couple of changes to it. Aside from the universal changes where now it's a frame 4 invincible option for Yamcha, there's increased stun time and the knockback on the additional follow-ups has been adjusted. This is what it would look like before. As you can see, the opponent largely stayed within the same place on the screen. This is the new behavior with the additional hit stun as well as knockback. As you can tell, you can send the opponent pretty much anywhere on screen that you want to. This gives a super nice utility when Yamcha uses it, as he's able to basically carry the opponent into whatever screen position his team wants him to be in. You want to put them into the corner for a level 3 mix-up, Yamcha will make sure they get there, even if his combo didn't already guarantee that in the first place. Additionally, there's some implications here where Yamcha could use this super and then pick up a combo afterwards as well. I don't know how practical this will be, as we're going to be talking about like level 1 scaling to the combo going on here. A change made several years ago when Bandai got rid of all of the double super shenanigans the game was having, but still, it's there and it exists, so maybe there's something to experiment with here. Yamcha's level 3, Neo Wolfang Fist, has a few buffs to its damage. It does more damage raw as well as increased base damage as well. This was a low damage super before, so Yamcha appreciates having a higher damage output going into this. Let's take a look at the numbers now. Raw does 4,045 now. Before unscaled, it did 4,015, so a very negligible difference in damage here. As we can see here, in the old version we did 5,471 damage with the simple Yamcha combo. The same combo now does 5,588 damage. It's a minimal increase, but still something that Yamcha will appreciate. Like many other C assists, Yamcha's C assist has the same buff to its startup, meaning that it's going to come out faster. There's also increased hit stop. Let's take a look at the old behavior. It's about 147 frames of hit stop to work with, some of that being slide knockdown, of course, where you can't interact with the opponent, on 35 frames of startup. This is how it behaves now. 152 frames of hit stun, so about maybe 5 more frames of hit stun to work with, and 23 frames startup, making it a proper jump scare lariat like many other changes that we've seen. I don't know if people will still decide to pick on this one just because, like, Yamcha has his A assist, that's what you usually pick Yamcha for, but I suppose it's a nice buff. While I was doing some research into some Yamcha tech, I did discover that Yamcha does suffer from a bug that occurs when he's in sparking. Watch my inputs here if I can get it to go. As you can see, I only did 1 quarter circle forward light into the Fang Fist Flash, but Yamcha buffered an EX Gale Claw. Now, this doesn't happen all the time. At some ranges, you're pretty safe, but mid or close range, somehow the game registers your 1 quarter circle forward input as 2 inputs, so when you get the cross up, it then registers it again. I've only seen this bug on one other character, which I'll mention when we get to that character. However, for Yamcha, this is very much a lot more difficult to avoid overall, and something that you have to be mindful of. It does seem to be character specific, as in my testing against Super Saiyan Goku, I haven't been able to replicate it yet. I finally got it there, so maybe it's not as character specific as I once thought. Do be aware about this when it comes to Yamcha, and maybe we'll be able to get Bandai to fix these issues. The bug notwithstanding, Yamcha does a couple of nice buffs going on for him here. The standing 5 heavy giving him multiple ways of using the tool to then contest space instead of being a one-dimensional reversal move is pretty nice. The full screen utility also means that he could potentially react to a beam and then immediately fly across the screen and punish it, as the opponent is going to be stuck whiffing the move and can only super dash cancel after that, which is going to lose it at 5H. So it is nice to see Yamcha sort of get those things. You don't see a lot of people use Yamcha, however, as he's just not that popular of a character anymore, since most of his utility has far been matched and then outdone by the fact that there's characters that you can play that are a little better than him. Still, I think he could be a potentially fun character to play, and maybe there's going to be somewhere out there that experiments with him. However, just due to that sparking bug, maybe people don't want to mess with the character at the moment, and I want to raise awareness for that one. Bandai never said that this was going to be the last match of the game, and as we've had several of those at this rate, I think it's safe to say that until a potential sequel comes out or Bandai stops hosting a world tour altogether, that there's always possibilities for new patches. However, I'm not quite so sure if they're going to be addressing bugs at all, since they've pretty much shown that the only time they deal with those things is when they do a new balanced patch for the game. So the fact that Yamcha has this bug state going on with him that could impact matches probably means that people just won't mess with the character for the sake of not having it ruin a tournament run.